Hi, my name is Helena Janot, and this is Middle Class to Wealthy. So, I've been so very excited to introduce Middle Class to Wealthy. But I'll say that I haven't always been able to articulate what it is that I'm so very excited about, what it is I truly want to accomplish, why I have brought this movement to you. So today, that is what this episode is about. I want to discuss what I mean when I say create our own economy, why we need to create our own economy. I want us to get a different perspective so we can take control of our lives instead of waiting around for someone else to save us. So here it is.
So if there was any one thing I'd like to get across is we really need to create our own economy. And then I mean that we need to take charge of our financial position, our lives, our choices. This is our life. We only get one. And we don't want to live a life full with regret because we didn't have the proper resources because we were waiting around for someone else to figure it out for us. And so um, we need to establish an economic stronghold and establish it for ourselves. So take the wheel. What does life look like? What do you want? What are you willing to do to get it? And work is never going to be the end all be all to your solution. Work is going to allow you to sustain now, here, now, and today. But be strategic with your discretionary income because that discretionary income should be making you money. Just like wealthy people do, spend your money to make money. Put yourself in a position to build what you want without limitation. Don't be afraid to say, I want to live in a multi-million-dollar house in whatever community. It is all very possible. You just need to decide that's what you want, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get it. But ultimately, we have a need. Look at our economy like a relationship with a significant other, right? We are stuck in a bad relationship. It is all take and no give. And we're affected by it. But then you have to ask yourself, well, okay, whose fault is that? I want to ask you whose fault it is, but not ask you for you to have to answer the question. To ask you because that's what we need to think about. Like, that's what needs to be at the front of our mind. We need to have a mindset shift. And so, whose fault is it? It's both our faults, the haves and the have-nots. When I initially started talking about all of this stuff, it's easy to see that we are being leveraged, we are being monetized. We can see the negatives of what's happening to us, but can we accept the responsibility of why? We're leaving ourselves wide open in a relationship, an abusive relationship. Do you, because you made a bad decision at some point in your life, stay in it for the rest of your life because that's what you chose and that's your destiny? Or do you decide enough is enough? I can't take this anymore and do something different. And I don't mean just jump at something different. I mean, come up with a game plan. Assess your situation. How did I get here? What did I do to get me here? What did I allow? and go from there. So once you reflect, learn from your experience, then decide what it is that you want and how much is it going to take to sustain that. From there, planning. But planning what? If you don't have a crystal clear vision of what you want your life to look like, I mean, build a dream, right? Down to the streets you want to live on. Now, that's not to say that that's what's going to happen exactly, because we never know when the house you want is going to go on the market. But, at least put yourself in the neighborhood. Be clear about your vision and don't be afraid. Like, at one point I was afraid to say certain things out loud, certain things that I wanted. And let me be clear, it often starts at home, right? I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to be, and someone cuts you down and says, that's not realistic. Okay, don't talk to your kids that way. I love my mother. But that wasn't the right messaging. Again, reflective, what I learned from the experience, right? So now we're afraid to say what we want out loud. And then we started this thing called the game of life, right? So now we're no longer somebody else's responsibilities. We're the ones that are working. We are the ones providing. So now moving from being provided for to now having to provide, even if it's just for yourself, life starts to kick you in the teeth, right? All of those goals and dreams, not goals, all of those dreams you had, you could never make them goals, because now you're starting to learn that this life that I want, is it realistic? So again, back to being reflective. As I look at my life here, now, and today, as an older, much more experienced person who has learned some things through experience, but not just experience, but now by exposure to a full wealth building network. First of all, the light came on. So all of these things that I didn't know, I know now. And now I'm putting the pieces in place to establish that life. Then there is where I went wrong. So like in the game of life, when I first started, so the first thing is I had my daughter when I was 19. I wouldn't change that. Why? Because I love her. To say that I regret that decision, it at my core, I couldn't accept saying those words out loud. So I don't regret the decision, because I love her, who she is, and all of her quirks and our interactions, good, bad, and indifferent. But either way, I would not change that. But being in that situation, what would I have done differently? And what I'll say I would have done differently is I would have put my big girl panties on, stayed home longer, established a support system with my mom, instead of saying, you know what, I want to be on my own. Because that was my first misstep. We're so eager to be independent that we're setting ourselves up for lessons, right? Because I don't want to say failure. I mean, failure is an end game, right? That's an end result. No, so lessons. So yes, I might have tried this and didn't get my desired results, but what happened? What did I learn from it? And, try again. So we're setting ourselves up for a lot of lessons. But now, like I said, I had a kid and I already was not in a position to provide. So now I have to make conscious decisions to make this work. And the decision that I made is to put in all of these extra hours, working two full-time jobs, going to school full-time, working full-time, um, and sacrificing her younger years. She's with this person, that person, and the other person, sometimes family, but either way, like I don't want to be a burden to someone else. So if I were to reflect and say, life could have been so much different if life could have been so much different if I would have stayed home longer, sucked up, whatever it was. My mom loves me. My mom loves my daughter, loved my daughter. Um, and so there's no harm happening there. Establish that support system, and then my money should have been going into building assets. My money should have been going into generating income so that I put myself in a position when I am ready to leave the nest. It is because financially I have nothing to worry about. My cash flow on a month to month basis is predictable, is scalable, it is repeatable. Like I am clear of what's happening because of the vehicle that I chose, right? That's my best advice to people starting out in life. Go out and get mentored. You know, this word is being used a lot and thrown around a lot lately. But how are you deciding who you're going to let talk to you about anything, especially the game of life? Like, this is your life. You only get one. Stop giving away your power. Who has your best interest at heart? Who has a financially vested interest in seeing you profit, not just seeing you do well? Because I can teach you a whole lot of stuff and send you on your way, and I wish you well. And I want to see you do well. But I'm not giving you, yes, I've given you the tools, but I haven't helped you with the vehicle. You get what I'm saying to you? And so run with people who have your back, who truly have your back. Um, but back to everything else, we have to accept responsibility in it. So, like I said, it's not just the haves versus the have-nots. No, we both have to accept responsibility in it. Why? Because, okay, so what happened? And the reason why I'm going back to the whole spouse thing or the relationship thing is because of that's what our economy is. We're stuck in this bad relationship. And so I want to bring it back to the analogy. And your significant other doesn't manage money well. On average, every 6 to 10 years, there's something happening. There's some kind of financial, crisis happening in your home that now disrupts the peace. We're worried about whether we can keep the house. We're worried about the car. We're worried about our credit. We're worried about our expenses. Can we eat? And so the first time it happens, it's like, all right, well, we'll work through it, learn from the experience so that it's not a constant event, right? But in this case, every 6 to 10 years on average, this is what's happening. So it's telling us who they are. So why is it happening? Is it because someone is being self-serving and, whatever decisions they made ultimately affected their significant other and, they don't care, they got what they wanted? Is it a lack of a skill set? Is it they just don't know how to manage, and they don't know how to keep everything afloat? And, so the reason doesn't matter. The point is, if it's a pattern, you have to make a decision. You have to decide whether you want to keep accepting this repeatedly happening in your life, disrupting your peace, disrupting your family's peace, or are you going to do something different? And you can either help your significant other, that's all take, no give, fix the situation if they listen to you, because our government doesn't listen to us, right? Or you can decide, I don't want to play this game anymore. You don't have my best interest at heart. You are self-sustaining. Every time we make a move, we are taxed. Every time, so the government takes care of itself. That is clear. But now when it's time to take care of its citizens, what am I getting in return for that? And so you have to make choices. And the choice is we have to create our own. We have to be the adults in the room. We have to get off the teat. And so what does that actually look like? The first thing is get some education around what it is you want to accomplish and how you're going to accomplish it. So the first thing that needs to happen is a mindset shift. And the reason why I say that and not vision, because I always think vision, right? I always think vision is first. Because without that vision, what's your, it's trending. What's your why? What's your why? What's your why? Because your why is going to keep you on that path. But we dream small. We dream small because right now in this country, financially, we're not doing well. And so we have a full-on debt crisis. We have a savings crisis. We have all of these issues. And so how do we get here? That reflective thing again. So how we got here is because of how we think. So we need to have a shift in mindset in order to not end up back in this same place. Then is vision. So I think once you get in the right company, people who can help move you, because if you were to ask me what's the secret to life, to being successful in life, it would be relationships, communication, and resources, financial resources, right? Because everything else, you can work that out. But if you now establish good relationships, people, pour into people that they care about. People work with and do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So everything comes back to the relationship. When we're intentional in picking our spouse, divorce, because why did you pick them? And can you work through issues together? Are you willing to work on the issues that you have to save your relationship? So again, everything comes back to relationship. Look at the condition that we're in here in this country today. The whole unrest around race and, the disparity between Black and white wealth and, us getting shot down in the street with no consequence. Okay, with no consequence. So when we're talking about that, it is, you need to take your power back. You need to be intentional about your relationships. Relationships with who in this case? Strangers. Look, there are a lot of us here, and we may not like each other, but we have to be able to coexist. And we have to fix the relationship problem that we have in this world. And so um, I would make that the top priority. Millionaires hang out with millionaires, billionaires hang out with billionaires, and so how do you get into those circles? You need to be relatable. You need to be able to interact with people. So interpersonal skills comes into play. Emotional intelligence comes into play. But those things, they are not natural skill sets. We have a lot of unlearning to do. Our environment has, and our upbringing and our education, the miseducation, has a lot to do with how we ended up here. So the first step is, learning, getting guidance, vetting the people you allow in your space, not just the people you allow to pour into you, i.e. the mentor or mentors, right? Because you want to build a community, because that is your answer. And then vision. Like, once you have a mindset shift, then you'll realize that you can live an abundant life. You are limitless. Now you can dream however big you want to and not have to worry about not being able to accomplish that dream not being realistic. I mean, without believing that it will happen tomorrow. But if time was on your side, nothing is going to keep you from what it is that you want. So mindset first, then the vision, and come up with a game plan, and then strategize. So, and then the last part of that is leverage your patronage. That's why community is so important. And why do I say that? I say that because this movement is called Middle Class to Wealthy. Reason why it's called Middle Class to Wealthy is because we are the masses. We make up such a large portion of our society, 51%. But lower income, we don't just want to help ourselves. That's the problem. I can easily go out and do something different with my life and make, an exorbitant amount of money. I'm not worried about my capabilities and my ability to build wealth. I'm not. But that's not my focus. My focus is our community. Like I said, the unsteadiness is unhealthy. The exploitation, unhealthy. And so to see people in the street, and I think a lot of it comes down to my mom. My mom was a Haitian immigrant, single mom of 3 kids. She struggled. She worked multiple jobs. And although her earning potential wasn't there, or she never pursued anything more than what she made. Why? Because she lacked vision. I guess she didn't think that she can do anything outside of her skill set. It's another one of our issues, having a fixed mindset. Falling back to what your comfort zone. All of those things, they harm us. But leveraging our patronage, and we need community to be able to do that. And we need that 51%, that 19%, that 71%. We are the masses. And so we need to take our power back. Stop giving it away. Stop giving away our money. Stop giving away our power. And be intentional about your goals, dreams, and aspirations. When I say leverage your patronage, the first thing everybody asks me is how? Well, okay, tap into a system that works, that is proven, right? During Corona, Because everybody seems to go with the stock market or real estate, right? Yes, those are places where you can make money. First of all, your barrier to entry to actually building wealth that can sustain you without employment. So we're going to leave that over there. I won't even get into all of that. The second piece is they ebb and flow with the economy. And your goal is consistency. Your goal is repeatable. Your goal is monthly cash flow that is scalable. And so align yourself with a supplier who provides everyday use items, right? So you can't just bust into, let's say, Target and be like, if you want my dollars, because they're not going to listen to you because you're one person. Everything is about the network. That's why I focus so much on consumer spending. Like when I talk about all of this stuff and I'm saying leverage your patronage, let me go back a little bit. For any business to exist, for it to be a viable business, they need three things: product and or services, distribution, and consumers. Who are the consumers? Consumers, first of all, I would say everyone, but that's 71%. They are the workforce, they are the consumer. So there is value in your consumption. Why? We can see the proof of that here now and today. Look at all these businesses that are filing for bankruptcy, be it a reorganization or discharge or going out of business, right? And then look at who's profiting during Corona. Jeff Bezos made billions during Corona. Why? Because people are still buying stuff. Not everything, but definitely their necessities. And we often go for like lower priced items thinking that we're being smart. You might have saved a couple of dollars, but you really just threw out your money. You weren't spending your money to make money. So again, consumer spending. Tap into a system that works. Work with a supplier that is open to partnering, right? And leverage their compensation. But first, you need numbers, again, community. But then, what system? Vet. You need to be intentional about everything you do in your life. From the relationships you pick, the words you pick, not just what you say to others, but what you say to yourself, and what you do with your money. Don't just give your money to any and everyone. Don't just partner with anyone. I've learned that lesson so many times the hard way, and I learned it. I learned the lesson, right? And so I've grown from the lesson. So vet who you will get in bed with. Then look at the leadership. Look at the leadership. Who are they? What's their character like? What's their integrity like? Are they the ones thriving and using everyone else, exploiting everyone else? Or are they helping others be profitable? Right? So, are they transparent? Do they give back? If they do, how? Do they share openly? Does it cost you for you to get information from them? Do you have access to them? Can you pick their brain whenever you want to? That's the leadership part. Do their values line up with yours? Values are important. Can you trust them to have your best interest at heart? Not theirs, not just theirs. And then quiet the noise. Everybody has an opinion about this works, that works, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. Okay, you know what? This is not going to sound good when I say it out loud, but I'm going to say it out loud. If they had the answer, they'd already be in the circle that we're trying to get into, right? So you don't know what that person's experience was. Did they learn a lesson from the experience that they had? Or did they just get jaded by the experience? And now turning you off to it. And then make the system your own. Make it work for you. We've given away our money and our power for way too long to get into a system, right? Where we're still following the masses, where we're still not in control of our own destiny, our own lives. Like, if this is to be a vehicle, use it as such. And build up your organization, right? So, and when I say organization, we are a community of people who need to be able to work together for our benefit, not just everybody else's. We've done that for way too long. We've built empires, we've built infrastructure, we've built companies, we build wealth every day, just not our own. And so now we have to have our eyes on our organization, not just us. So get your board of directors together. I've said that in other talks, but get your board of directors together, right? And then help them build up the structure of your organization, because you guys are in business together. And so we're constantly looking at the organization to make the organization better, change the mind. Like, we are here to focus on the growth of every member of this organization. Mindset. I don't just want to get into bed with anybody. I'm not just letting you into my organization. And the people that are in our organization, we're not just letting you in. No. Why? Because we have to vet the people we do business with. Not everybody is integral. Not everybody has your best interest at heart. People get selfish and they see your growth, your organization, and how you are able to leverage a system. And now they want to infiltrate that for their benefit. That doesn't line up with my values. So, again, back to building relationships. So that's my 2 cents.
So I get a little passionate. Sometimes I get a little tongue-tied. But I think you can see my heart. I think you can see why I'm driven for change. We can't keep living this existence. Again, my name is Helena Janot, and this is Middle Class to Wealthy.